Hello, I'm Charlotte Stacey. The headlines from BBC Oxford. A firm in Wiltshire has been fined £180,000 after one of its workers was crushed by a threshing machine. Paul Maguire died while working for Cider UK in Cricklade in 2005. Earlier it seemed that next week's postal strike in Oxford would be called off, but it's just been moved from Monday to Friday. Staff at the mail centre will walk out for 24 hours. Tomorrow's weather cloudy with heavy rain and strong winds. It will clear, highs of 8 Celsius. Good evening. It seemed earlier today that the postal strike for next week would be called off, but it's just been moved from Monday to Friday. Staff at Oxford's Royal Mail Centre will walk out for 24 hours. It's over Royal Mail's plans to close offices and move sorting operations to a bigger purpose-built depot in Swindon. Jeremy Stern reports.
It's the busiest time of year for the postal service, but next Friday most of the staff at the Oxford Mail Centre won't be at work. They'll be on strike. It puts a question mark over whether cards will be delivered in time for Christmas Day and whether the protesters have the public's sympathy.
Everybody's looking forward to their Christmas, right? So all the post and everything, so obviously it's not a very good time.
I can understand them, doing it really if they're worried about losing their jobs with the situation and everything that's going on.
Most impact they can get, that's why they're gone for the Christmas period. I mean, I wouldn't be too happy if I had to go and work in Swindon just at a drop of a hat like that.
And you have to think, well, hang on, there's something drastically wrong here somewhere. So it's been brought to a head, hasn't it?
Royal Mail says a decline of its market was behind the decision to close Oxford. The company says it will help some staff find jobs locally and relocate others to Swindon. But many in Oxford believe they could be out of work and want their centre to stay open.
We don't go on strike at Christmas. I'm calling on the Labour government to intervene, protect jobs, protect the postal industry, keep people in a job rather than being claiming benefits.
Over the years there have been numerous strikes in Oxford. Next week the office will be one of 7 taking action in protest at postal centre closures across the country. Union chiefs say they could all be called off if Royal Mail agrees to their demands. Jeremy Stern, BBC Oxford News.
The amount of knife crime reported in Oxfordshire has gone up by nearly a quarter, according to the latest police figures. The news comes on the same day that national statistics show a drop in the number of people caught carrying knives in hotspots targeted by the police. Thames Valley Police says the rise in Oxfordshire is down to better reporting of knife crime in the county. Police are looking for 2 men after an armed robbery in Thame in the early hours of this morning. The men threatened staff at the Esso service station with what appeared to be a gun. They escaped with money from the tills before running off. The funeral's been held of a former Gurkha soldier who died in Reading. Bim Gurung had been a key campaigner in the battle to secure equal rights and pensions for Gurkhas who'd served in the British Armed Forces. Alan Sinclair reports.
Bim Prasad Gurung died without seeing his final battle won. The High Court agreed just weeks ago that Gurkhas had been treated unjustly, and the government is widely expected to confirm within days that Gurkhas are now entitled to the same treatment as other members of the British Armed Forces, including proper pensions and the right to settle here in the UK.
I think it was terribly frustrating for his family, who watched Bim impoverished, paralysed and half-blind, fighting with his last breath to win justice for himself and his colleagues who had served this country for so long and so loyally, that he would be cheated of the opportunity to see the fruits of his labours.
Among the mourners today were Bim's widow and son. They'd only been allowed entry to the UK in the hours before his death.
The community owes a huge debt to Mr. Gurung for what he's done. And as you can see, lots of people have come in to pay tribute to Mr. Gurung.
The family fly home to Nepal tonight, taking half his ashes to scatter there. The rest will remain in Britain, the nation he fought so proudly for, the nation which in turn let him and so many others down.
A firm in Wiltshire has been fined £180,000 after one of its workers was crushed to death. Paul Maguire climbed into a paper baling machine that had become jammed at Cider UK in Cricklade in 2005. The waste disposal company pleaded guilty to breaking health and safety laws and says they accept responsibility for his death. Police in Aylesbury are warning shoppers to watch out for pickpockets. There have been several thefts of purses, mobile phones and jewellery from people doing their Christmas shopping in the town centre. A teenager from Blackbirdleys has won a European dancing competition just months after taking up the sport. Levin de Silva is just 13 and is now the European under-16 street dance champion. Brennan Nichols has more details.
This is what Levin de Silva does. Since joining the KC School of Dance at the Blackbirdleys Leisure Centre, he's become a revelation.
I saw in the newspaper that they'd just come back from the World Championships and I always liked to dance, so then I decided to come and try it.
In fact, Levin's become a champion. In one of his first ever competitions, he won the under-16 European title at Electric Boogie.
I stood up when he'd won and my knees were shaking and I just thought I was going to fall over. I couldn't believe it.
It's time for some freestylers. Give it up!
In fact, street dance has never been so hot. Britain's Got Talent star George Sampson may be leading the way, but many think Levin is the real deal.
Next thing for me is to win as much competitions as possible, and I also hope to qualify for the World Championships next year and then go there, do my best, possibly win.
So don't be surprised if Levin leads the others in his wake and puts street dance back on the map.
In sport, the MK Dons have won their match away to Brighton tonight. The final score was 2-4 to the MK Dons. Jason Puncheon scored the fourth goal in the 90th minute. Now for a look at the weather for this weekend, here's Georgie Palmer.
Good evening. Tonight certainly looks to be the wettest and the windiest night we've had for a while. A band of heavy rain will track east across the region overnight with strong southerly winds and lows of 7 Celsius. The rain will take a while to clear away tomorrow morning. As it does, those strong winds ease down as well, but behind it cold and grey. Perhaps the odd glimpse of brightness for Dorset, but temperatures will struggle tomorrow, reaching around just 7 Celsius. Fog overnight tomorrow night and frost, so a murky start on Sunday. Perhaps a glimpse of brightness, but cold and cloudy for the start of next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Well, if you're looking for a way to brighten up your Saturday morning, tune into Phil Kennedy's programme tomorrow morning on BBC Oxford 95.2 FM. He'll have a samba band in the studio from St Gregory's School in Oxford. They're running a workshop to try to get more people involved. You can hear all about it with Phil from 7 o'clock tomorrow. Newsnight starting now over on BBC Two, but from me and everyone on the late team, a very good night to you.